this build, it nearly broke me.
Plug.
I always wanted a NAS. I hate paying for online storage, and I hate paying for multiple services. On Windows, I use Google Drive. On Mac, iCloud. I hate using iCloud on Windows, and I hate using Google Drive on Mac. Google Drive is annoying, and I just refuse to touch OneDrive. I have an underlying hatred for it. So, making my own NAS was always the dream, and the other day I finally committed. Just before we start, I am the opposite of an expert, so please don't be offended by anything you see. Let's go through the parts. It's a mix of new purchases and recycled parts from an old gaming PC that's just been sitting around collecting dust. The processor we'll be using is the Ryzen 5 3400G and Gigabyte A320MH as the motherboard that it will sit in. We're going to use 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. Is it overkill? Yeah, but it's what I had lying around, and don't get me started on the RAM prices right now. For storage, I went with just a single 4TB hard drive for now, but I will expand to a secondary one for redundancy in the future. For apps and just general fast storage, I have a 500GB NVMe and a 240GB SATA SSD. For cooling, I went with the Arctic Freezer 36, and you'll see soon how this becomes the bane of my existence. And all of this will fit into the Lee & A3 MATX case. It's small, not made for a NAS build, but the case for me must just aesthetically fit in the room, otherwise I would not get it. First, I started by removing the old cooler off the motherboard and cleaning up the CPU, then replacing the 8GB stick of RAM with the newly recycled 32GB kit. Then the first pain began. The thermal page just didn't want to come out smoothly, and I had to use my finger in a panic to take it off the tube's tip onto the CPU, resulting in just a clump of thermal paste right in the middle of it. And could you believe the unpredictable pain of attaching the CPU cooler? I screwed in the brackets, screwed in the cooler, and then it just shook. The cooler was literally wobbling with all the screws fully tightened. I checked the manual. I checked Arctic's YouTube channel. I wasn't missing anything. And I did everything exactly right. And it still looked like the cooler wanted to fall off. But once the anger and panic settled, I went digging through my spare screw and random parts drawer, and somehow, magically, I found longer screws that actually held it properly down. And to be honest, that's the moment I'll forever defend my hoarding of screws and parts. Everyone laughs at you until your CPU cooler is wobbling like a bobblehead. And with that headache sorted, I put the motherboard in the case, connected up the I/O and stuck in the PSU and connected up those cables. Fitted in the storage using the screws with anti-vibration fittings, moved onto the fans. I used 4 exhaust fans, 3 on the top, 1 on the rear of the case, with a single intake on the bottom, hoping that is sufficient. Believe it or not, it booted on the first try. In the BIOS, I selected the USB with the TrueNAS image on it, entered the installer and set up a password, and boom, TrueNAS was installing, and with a reboot, I got the IP for the web UI. And then more pain began. I just wasn't aware of it at the time. TrueNAS started off great. I followed tutorials, created a pool, set up users for everyone who will access the NAS, and SMB worked great. First try. But then my need for more grew. More money saving, more self-hosting. A website. Why not? A Minecraft server. I googled it, and great, TrueNAS can do it. But every tutorial showed a different UI. Different options, different ways to navigate to a section. Not even ChatGPT could help rescue me. The apps I wanted? Not there. Virtual machines? Locked away. TrueNAS Scale became TrueNAS Community Edition, and honestly, it's awful. They've put minimal effort into updates, removing the UI for the most important features like scheduled smart tests, and since I'm a beginner, I was lost on what to do with the outdated tutorials and their own documentation being outdated. So I slept on it, and I chose pain. I installed Proxmox. Proxmox was scary. It looked way too professional for my abilities, but I do like to suffer. I also liked how TrueNAS worked for, being an NAS, so I set up a VM to run that, using tutorials of course. I'm sure my new pain was caused by user error, however, no matter what I did, I just couldn't pass through my hard drives to TrueNAS. I kept getting topology errors, so I just gave up again. And at this point, I was working at this for about 8 hours. I had to cut out so much pain. I decided to simply run Samba directly in Proxmox. I set up ZFS for the one hard drive I had, installed Samba, but skipped adding user accounts for now, as once again I faced errors due to my inexperience with Linux command line. Next, I thought about self-hosting a Minecraft server, save more money. I downloaded an Ubuntu server, set up a VM, using Docker installed Crafty, a web UI Minecraft server host. Within minutes, I had a ready-to-go server. Seamless. And I swear I didn't even need ChatGPT to set it up. Setting up my website was more of a chore, but I did get there in the end, but that's not for this video, and that's definitely not because I didn't record it. So finally, after 48 hours after starting the build, I had a server with the basic setup, file sharing, game server, web hosting, and enough emotional damage to last a lifetime. It's not perfect, it's not efficient, and it's definitely not built the way any professional would recommend, but it works. And honestly, that's all I wanted. Would I do it again? Do I love pain? Yeah. Like and subscribe for more nonsense.